On this episode of Lapeef Let's Talk,
recognize that across the world, a majority of the world are severely impoverished. And what I'm saying is that there is a level of not impoverished. I'm not saying middle class, but there is somewhere that's not eating dirt that where every human being can be on this earth.
Kayla, do you understand? Hold on. Kayla, do you understand that the average person, how much trash we put out every single year as individuals? Honestly, like when we talking about resources, when we talking about living, we're not just talking about, do you understand the amount of animals that you have to farm and the methane gas that goes in the air that contributes to global warming in order to feed people?
I'm loving the direction of this conversation.
I'm just saying, listen, when we talking about resources, honestly, this planet cannot sustain even having 9 billion people on this earth, and it's just multiplying exponentially. Just one thing. Why do y'all think that $100,000 is enough for a family?
I say that because I see couples, as I said, I have clients that are making less than that and are comfortable. It might not be for you because you buy Porsche hoodies. So it really depends on what you like to buy and what your cost of living is. That might be enough for some people, but with all them shoes in the back, I don't think that's enough for you. So it just depends, honestly.
No, I mean, I'm not even saying for me, right? I'm not even using myself in this situation at all, but just in general, like for a single person, right? $100,000 only equate to, in any major city, $67,000 a year after taxes. Real talk. And then we talking about raising a child. And if we really take into consideration the fact that most people have more than one child, the cost of raising a child is astronomical. I mean, astronomical. When you look at inflation at an all-time high at over 6% this year, they print more money than they ever have in history, which means that the value of your dollar does not go that far. I guess the question that I'm really asking is, do we really have a true understanding of how far $100,000 go? Because I don't believe let's just take me out of the equation, just in general. I don't believe that normal everyday people and families, let's just say a family of 4, they can survive, but I don't believe that they can thrive off of $100,000 a year today in any major city.
I agree, Anton. A family of 4.
But then, Anton, I got a question. So then, with that being said, what would you then advise them to do in that last example?
You honestly want to know my opinion?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe you should have kids making $100,000 a year. I think that most people feel like they're entitled to have kids, but I don't think that people truly understand the cost of having kids. And when you take into consideration that the majority of this country, most people at some point or another finds themselves on some form of social assistance and receiving money from the government, I don't think that most people are equipped just because we have them and just because we figured out how to survive by having them, just because your grandmother had 12 kids and all that other type of stuff. I don't believe that that's the responsible thing to do. I personally, me and my wife we even contemplated not having kids at all. Not only because we didn't think that this earth was a decent place to raise kids, just in general, but we just understood the cost that came along with it. But then when we decided that we were going to have one, we said we're only going to have one, and we're going to pour every single thing that we have into this child and not have to split resources amongst multiple children. So I don't believe that somebody making, or a couple making, a combined $100,000 a year with no upward mobility. Now there is growth and there is obviously, so that's a completely different question. But let's just say, for example, that you live in a major city and you're making $100,000 a year and you're going to have a family of 4 total. I don't think that you can. I don't think that you should. And I think that it's responsible for you to do it if you truly understand how money works.
That's interesting, man. Because
I don't.
Only about 15% of people make that much money.
Only 15% of people should be having kids then.
But then the whole population would plummet. we wouldn't have nobody at Starbucks.
I think that the
Exactly.
biggest problem on this earth is that it's overpopulated anyway.
We need people at Starbucks.
We need people. I like
Now
salt on
we
my
do
fries.
China.
The,
What the
the
Chinese
biggest
do.
problem on this earth is that it's too overpopulated, and the majority of the people that are having the kids are the ones that's not responsible enough to do so.
I don't think that at
I
all.
agree with that.
We hoard the resources. There is enough for everybody. There really is. You have people that are throwing things away because it's cold. Like what? There is literally enough resources for every human being on the planet. I don't know what
It
y'all
really
talking
is not. It's
Yes,
not.
there is.
We're depleting the
Taylor, are
resources.
you into socialism?
The 15% live in excess. They live in crazy excess. It's ridiculous.
Because they
Like,
understand
it's
how
nuts.
money works.
Yeah,
See,
but
the
we're not
reason why
talking
the
about how
15
money works. We're talking about the resources. You said that. You just said that there's not enough for everybody to go to live on this earth, and there is
there
enough
is
resources
not,
for everyone
because
to live.
every
Yes, there
single
is.
person
There
on
is
this
not
earth,
enough resources for everyone to live in a penthouse on Park Avenue, obviously, but there is enough for people to live a decent life with some type of integrity. Yes, it is.
Agreed.
it really is not. And if you really pay attention to how people are living worldwide, not just in the United States of America, listen, we have entire deserts that's being dedicated to landfills. We have an overabundance of plastic in order to be able to feed people in our oceans. We do not have enough resources for people to even be able to have a car. Are you willing to only catch public transportation for the rest of your life in order to sustain and keep things up in order for everybody else to have theirs? I'm just wondering. Are you willing to no longer go on those yachts that I see you on your Instagram? No? What? Oh, okay.
Kayla's on
Now we
mute.
changing the
Kayla's on
dynamic
mute.
of the
Kayla's
conversation.
on mute.
You on mute. You on
Kayla,
mute,
your
Kayla.
mic
You
is
on mute,
muted.
Kayla. You on mute.
Okay. I never said that I wasn't involved in the excess. I said no such thing. Okay.
We don't listen.
So don't
9
try to
billion
be like
people
that,
on this
'cause
earth.
I'm not saying it is.
9 billion people on this
And
earth.
if I'm born into the excess, then I'm born into the excess. We can't be mad, but I do recognize that across the world, a majority of the world are severely impoverished. And what I'm saying is that there is a level of not impoverished. I'm not saying middle class, but there is somewhere that's not eating dirt that where every human being can be on this earth.
Kayla, do you understand? Hold on. Kayla, do you understand that the average person, how much trash we put out every single year as individuals? Honestly, like when we talking about resources, when we talking about living, we're not just talking about. Do you understand the amount, the amount of animals that you have to farm and the methane gas that goes in the air that contributes to global warming in order to feed people?
I'm loving the direction of this conversation.
I'm just saying. Listen, when we talking about resources, honestly, this planet cannot sustain even having 9 billion people on this earth, and it's just multiplying exponentially.